Beautiful Kookal Lake. We're off from here to Kodaikanal. Today is a Saturday, which means I should expect a lot of traffic. Just the nature of the beast. You live in a tourist destination, you live by the tourists, you die by the tourists. My carburetor is going to complain again today. I guess it is. I should be able to accelerate even on this slope, even in third gear. Today is not the day for spirited riding. Today is the day for dynamic, slightly conservative riding. Which means that instead of going as quickly as I would usually do, I'm going to be little more conservative on the speed and stick to the left. Because it doesn't matter how well practiced I am, which I'm not, but if the oncoming vehicle, the driver does not pay full attention to the road, I can be taken out in a fraction of a second. There just isn't much space for making mistakes on this narrow a road. Although what I am going to do, because dynamic riding, I'm not just going at one single pace throughout. I will be switching the pace as the road allows me. So wherever there's a good line of sight, like I have here, I can go slightly faster because I can see the vehicles coming at me. But on this turn, where it's completely blind and it tightens up, go slowly. I have seen so many bikers come fast down this slope and then understeer and go into the other lane right about here. I have a good line of sight to know that there is no one coming from here, hence swerving into the other lane for the right turn. That's my carburetor coughing. Okay. I was not paying attention. That's why the slight quick swerve to the left. When the vehicles are reversing, it's time for me to go. Right turn. I always come a little to the center on that one because there are potholes on the left. Slow down. You good? Now switching to a higher gear so that I can chug along instead of revving. There is little to no chance of overtaking the bigger vehicle, the tempo traveler up ahead. Just take it easy. Funny, the car guy wants to overtake that. That ain't happening. The tempo traveler guy is just barging into the road and expecting everyone else to move for him. I don't like that. Could have been kinder. Practicing slow speed here. I just noticed people still do this. The motorcycle up front has the rear view mirrors turned to watch his own face instead of looking at the traffic behind. Alright, we are at the junction of Manavanur and Kookal Road. And off we go. Finally, we can get to have some fun. This is why being on the left helps. All I had to do was progressive braking for avoiding the pothole, or not avoiding, but going through it slow enough. And when you're safe in your own little lane, you don't panic as much, because you don't have to do much to get out of harm's way. You're already out of harm's way. That's the whole deal. And this I'm not just telling my audience. Like, I definitely want you to try this method when you're in the Kodi Hills, and it is going to transform how you feel about your own riding. Sticking to the left. Let me tell you this from experience, that it is much easier to take up the entire lane or to take up the entire road if you want. That way you do not have to have as much skill in turning the bike in tight corners. However, if you practice what I'm doing here, sticking close to the fog line, this white line, then not only are you going to be safe while in the ghats, but you're also going to practice your skill and take it to the next level. Because it may seem like, why do I have to put in all the effort to swerve wherever the road goes? Like, not all the time, not everywhere. Like, if the road suddenly goes wide for allowing people to stop, I'm not going to go all the way to the side for just that. But on turns, I want to develop my skill so that I never ever have to leave my lane and go into the outside lane. Now, since I've started practicing specifically to stay close to the left, I have not even once gone into the outside lane, to the oncoming lane. Because if I make a mistake, the worst I'm going to go is halfway into the road, which is still my lane. But I'm trying my best to avoid even that. And that will come with more and more practice. Every time I ride, I remind myself that I will stick to the left. It is safe and it makes me awesome. So I can take turns like this. Another thing that I have learned is that you don't need to be fast on the curve. When you use progressive braking, you can slow down enough to actually take the curve of that turn much slower than what it appears if somebody is looking at you from a distance. When I saw these bikers have stopped in the middle of the road for taking photos, creating a traffic jam for everyone else, I knew that I need to apply brakes before the other drivers notice and apply brakes. That gave me much more time to relax into the brake instead of having to panic brake. And the thing about our brains is that if you start paying attention to particular patterns consciously, over time your neurons will figure out that this is what you need to do, and they will start picking up these patterns long before you register it, and give you more time to move your eyes to where you need to be paying attention. Like, sure, we have these recurrent neural networks and deep neural networks that people are obsessing over and calling them AI. Sure, those are fun. But do you know how much it costs to train something like a GPT-4? Probably $100 million is what the last estimated number that I saw floating around on the internet. $100 million to train one AI. Okay, I don't like calling it AI, but sure. And then what? And then it is limited to whatever corpus it was trained on. You are carrying a much more efficient neural network in your head, and you can train it any way you want to. And the beauty is you don't even need to feed it the entire internet to train it and make it do awesome things. It is very efficient in power consumptions. It is very efficient in power consumption, just about 20 watts. And even for the number of examples it needs to figure out a pattern, you can start with one and not millions of data points. Once you have 3, 4, 10 data points, you're pretty good already. Like, you're way far ahead than any of these artificial neural networks are going to achieve their accuracy. So do not fret. You do not need AI to drive your car or to ride your motorcycle. You only need to train yourself as regularly as you can afford to. And that is plenty, as long as you're aware that you're training yourself and this is what you're trying to do. You're going to keep getting better. And yes, it does help to have a camera mounted on your motorcycle, or like today, mounted here on my chest, because then I can go back and look at the footage. Especially I have a microphone like today, then I can listen to my thoughts as I'm riding and look at the footage and train myself to either reinforce a certain thing or to train myself out of it the next time I'm out on the road. Now, research has shown that when you visualize an action that you have been training for, whether it is jiu-jitsu, whether it is riding a motorcycle, shout out to Moto-Jitsu for some really cool content that has helped me learn riding better. And when you visualize what you are going to do when you practice, your brain does fire the neurons that tell your body what your muscles should be doing. without actually firing those muscles or activating those muscles. So even just looking at your own videos or of other drivers or riders practicing doing things the right way and pausing to visualize how you would deal with it, that is going to train you. It is not everything, but it is an extra boost on top of your actual practice and training. Now, if you're wondering why I am riding behind this car for so long, it's simply because he's maintaining a good speed and I don't need to overtake him unless the driver chooses to slow down too much for my comfort. Having a point vehicle ahead of me helps me in multiple ways. First of all, I like the pace that the driver is keeping, so I do not have to worry about constantly slowing down or speeding up. The driver up ahead is doing that for me. And then if any vehicle is approaching the oncoming vehicles, they are not going to come all the way to me before they have to slow down or hit something. Today is a high traffic day, so I'm choosing to stay safer by being behind a wider vehicle. Sure, in spots like this where I could have just stood up and gone over the bumps, I have to slow down a little bit. But that's a few seconds of time that I am sacrificing to get the peace of mind for the rest of the journey. Like right now, he did the honking and everything necessary to slow down the oncoming traffic, and I just had to follow him. Right, let's take a chai break.